Also tell us how many are there in the YouTube
Yes, will ma'am.
stream.
It will take another 10 to 15 minutes. So good morning, all participants. Requesting you to rename your Zoom display name with your college short name. So it is easy for us to identify you are from which college. Please rename yourself. We will start the session in another 5 minutes. Eight participants are there, Anuma.
I'm watching. 59. I'll take some 2-3 minutes to
Yes, please.
talk. Hopefully, usually I'm very short. I'll take 2 minutes more. You're having the presentation ready for Vikash in the show mode. Ravna?
Sure, ma'am.
Please have it and share the show mode directly.
It's done now.
Yes. Good morning. I hope there are people watching in the YouTube as well. So it may have touched 100, but I'll keep talking till I get that 100, 3-digit mark there in the participant. That's a secret between Vikash and Vipin and myself. And I have great pleasure in bringing you the third aware uh, webinar for entrepreneurs. We thought of this particular series. We thought of this three-part seminar because we thought we need to have a deep engagement with people who are very new to competitions in the first place, and especially competitions such as the Innova. And there are millions of such similar competitions happening all over the world and in the nation as well. Thanks to COVID, we have most of them in the virtual format, and that brings us the need to be more explicit and clear in what we write as a document or present. So we thought it is a good idea for us to give you the inputs so that you can fill in the concept and design document of any competition, leave alone Innova, in a proper manner, and you will have enough information to share there, and you won't repeat yourself. You will give the correct keywords which are expected by the judges and what they want to see as such. And it is also a training ground for you to take it in real life. And first of all, wish to be an entrepreneur, give more jobs, be of use to the society, and like we have with us Vikash, who comes from an illustrious business family. And I should say it is there in the DNA of all, but I shouldn't tell that as well. It's up to him. He went and joined Citibank after his stint at IIT Delhi dorms. I think he's an engineer, just like all of us. And he did his master's in business administration from IIT Delhi. He's an alumnus from Delhi. And he's also alumnus of one of our partner institutions. That's a secret. I will not let it out right now. And he joined Citibank for a while, and then after being successful, enough and more successful and bored with that job, he went back to his family family business to improve it and make a better presence there. So Vikash will talk about what is it for finance, what you need to know about finance if you're thinking of a startup or anybody. Like here, I'm sure all of us are as novice as anybody else with respect to the area of finance. Unfortunately, they don't add it as a subject either in school or in college as basics. Though it is a basic for which we all toil over a period. We think success is marked by the amount of money you make and how you manage your finances. So there are two parts to it: making money and managing money and using it for your startup. So I'm sure Vikash will throw a lot of light in that area. And Vipin, who's going to join, who's going to be the co-speaker along with Vikash, has a rich experience as an entrepreneur himself. He's an IIT Madras alumnus, and he has been kind of a serial entrepreneur. He forewent his opportunity to go abroad and stayed back and did a lot of things here because he got a great plum order from Panasonic, and he can go on and on with that. And he's one person who keeps continuously learning because he's an entrepreneur and he's looking for solutions for real life problems as well. He's a mentor for a couple of startups in his area. So I welcome Vikash and Vipin to this session to give their talk on finance, and they'll be followed by Arun, who will again bring some connection with what is being presented and the concept and design document. And there will be a flash quiz at any time between the talks or after the talks. So I wish all of you stay back and take the flash quiz as well. So I request Vikash to take the floor. Thank you.
Thanks, Anu. Thanks, Paul. PALS, it's been a very long journey for me with PALS. It's very nice for me to be back again, making a presentation after many years. I still remember the first meetings we used to have in IIT Club and look at what is the bigger role of PALS. And I'm very glad that PALS has grown to touch so many lives at this point. I'm sure we are getting many brilliant engineers who are also thinking as entrepreneurs. And I'm glad to be a part of this. I hope I can contribute and add a little value that I believe is necessary. Thanks for my background, Anu. I think Vipin is a more illustrious member amongst us. And
No,
so
no, no.
Vipin is here for all of you to get his views across, as well as I think he can share his deep insight on what running business is. I'll give you a little background before we start on why I think finance is very critical. I come from a business family. I am an engineer at heart, engineer by education, engineer by profession. Even in my current organization, my complete focus is on how we can improve our processes, automate it, make it recurring, predictable, and something that can be thought again and again and then done seamlessly. Finance somewhere is came to me. I mean, I because I was part of a business family from where I was born. I used to see my parents, especially my father, work very hard, but he also made sure that every rupee he earned was kept very well, was very well tracked, very well managed. And in this process, I saw with very close quarters that having a successful business is important, but having a financially successful business is even more important, because the purpose of why we all do business is to make money and take care of our families. And if we can then save some money, do good for society, that's the larger objective that a large number of us may have. So from this perspective, after I did my engineering, I wanted to actually I was a romantic engineer. I thought engineer will be building rockets and artificial intelligence and I don't know what not. And I landed up in a class like all of you. And then I realized that that is a distant dream. For that, we need to have businesses. There were no Googles and some interesting companies that we have today. So then the next logical step was to build such businesses or work towards building such businesses. And I found my education slightly lacking in the finance part and hence ended up doing an MBA, specializing in finance. And then surprisingly, we ended up working for banks. So that's a little background about why I think finance is very important. In fact, while working in a bank, there is something that came to my mind. I read this quote somewhere and I still keep it with me and I make sure that I share it with everybody when I talk to entrepreneurs. And I can take you to the next slide with that. How do I move forward?
Yeah. Next slide. Yeah.
So yeah, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed with things that you didn't do than by the things that you did do. So sail away from your safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, and discover. This is why I left my cozy job at Citibank, because I felt, with all due respect to all people who are more than 40 here, including myself, at the age of 26, I was playing golf 3 times a week, going to office at 11 a.m., going home at 6:30, and my boss was extremely happy because business was booming, because that's what was expected from a unit head, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted to do something interesting because I didn't want to be at 40 and wonder why I didn't do something interesting. So I left that and did a few things in between, and I'm extremely happy where I am. So I think the measure of your happiness is, have you been able to achieve what you set out to achieve? So do explore, dream, and discover, and the journey of entrepreneurship is that. Can we move forward, Nandini? Yeah. So today I'm going to talk about a few things in detail. One is how startups are funded. Where do you get your first rupee from, and why do you need that first rupee? Once you start your business, how can the business make money? After you start making money, where can you see that money? And then cash flows. The first bit of it, how to start a company, grow, and start a company and make it grow, I think has been covered in the last 2 sessions. And that's something that I thought I will just broach the topic broadly and then speak about the finance aspect of it in more detail. Can I move forward? Yeah, okay. So let's look at what is needed to start a company. So you may start putting answers in your chat. what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you look at starting a company? And some of you can choose to answer in your chat window if you want to answer. And I will give a 5-10 seconds break for people to answer if they want to.
You can answer this question. What do you need to start a company?
So
In the chat
purpose
box.
of a company, product, services, idea, register the company, interesting, business idea. Avinash from Sairam Institution is saying that. Ramesh Advani registered the company. I'm sure he's a lawyer. Investment of money. Sanjay from Alpha. Target audience. Rohit from SVCE. Very interesting views. Sangeeta talked about money. Anybody else is talking about something else? I'm not sure what's happening on the YouTube, but okay, in Zoom, this is what we saw. Marketing, very interesting. So broadly, if you look back at the history of current economics, and Adam Scott is a good gentleman to refer to. He tells there are 3 things that are needed to start a good business. First one is capital. Lavna, can you move forward? Yeah, so first one is capital. Capital is basically the oil that runs a business. Without capital, the business will not move. It's the lubricant of any business. Then you have management, and then the business idea. Some of you have spoken about the business idea. So which is more important in this? The business idea, the management, or the capital? What do you think, guys? I mean,
We want you to be putting your answers in the chat.
Chat box, yes. So, Dr. Sri Lakshmi is saying business idea is critical, the idea. So for the people who are saying idea, I want to change the world, but I don't have the money. I'm an indebted person. What can I do? Can just the idea help me start business? Ramesh Advani and Subhashri and everybody else. Or for people, so everybody believes business idea. So what does Nani say? I mean, management. Okay, Deepika is talking about management. So you have brilliant management. All 3 are equally important, is what Avinash says. There is always ranking of 1, 2, and 3, right? Whenever we have 3 things, 3 important things, which is the most important? Capital. Trust me, banks have more money than all of us can even imagine. Government of India has even more money, but they haven't been able to successfully run any business till today. In fact, whatever they run partially successfully, they want to sell and get out, so that they can put their money somewhere else. So capital is a difficult thing. Some of the brightest people in India end up being IAS officers. So management need not necessarily be good business capable, right? So I think some of you got it right. It's all 3. Today, management can be bought with capital. Capital can be got with an idea. Ideas can be funded by capital, and we are seeing large funding chasing very nice ideas. But eventually, a good business idea is the core to starting a good business. I am not saying management is not important or capital is not important. The foundation of a good business is good business idea, but the building will be built on management and capital. Trust me. If management and capital are not good, then the building is destined to fall or never get built. So you have to have a brilliant business idea, followed by even better management, followed by capital. And trust me, if you have business idea and management, capital will always chase you. So focus on business idea and management, and capital is available for us today. Lamna, can you move forward? Yeah, so that's a new business. So now that you have business idea and maybe you are the management team, what do we do next? Can we move forward? Once we have the management, then we start planning about our business. What are we going to do? How are we going to do? And what are the outcomes? Once we start doing that, then we think about starting up an expansion. And at the last, if you are able to do this, then we look at gain realization. These are the broad steps of any good business. We've seen this in earlier sessions. So there are 3 paths to finance in this. The first one is called As we move forward, and Lorna can keep pressing next and next. In the business idea and business planning session, we start getting attention of investors. The second one is how do you finance? And the third one is you start realizing gains as an entrepreneur for the business that you have done. These three are very important. Again, because in each level, you have to think differently from a finance perspective. So we'll first start with attention of investors. What happens there? This is the idea where you want, you have an idea, let's say like my grandfather had 60 years ago, that he should come to Chennai and start marble business. So he said, what do we do first? First and foremost is you need an office space, and then you need today an office furniture, a PC, a small table, chair, fan, light, maybe rent out the place. If you are a technology guy, you'll start looking at product design, prototype. You may want to make your first capital. These are the places where you will need money immediately when you want to start. All of us in college would want to do something interesting, but for that something interesting, we will need money for this idea that we have in the form of seed funding. The first and foremost place where we can raise seed funding is our family and friends, or whatever little savings that you have. I was part of a startup, it was called Classel, and the funding came from us as promoters. So we chose to fund it, started it, and the first money that came in terms of setting up our office came from family and friends. So here I'm going to look at what are the different ways in which you can do this. First investor in most of your companies will be your family and friends, or as I show in next slide, how it will progressively keep changing. So if we can move to the next slide and keep moving next. First is bootstrapping, which is you saving, then family and friends. I think business grants are very, very, very interesting source of starting a business today. A lot of large businesses have foundations which are looking at how they can incubate business, and they give grants to smaller business. I think last time I was looking at Infosys, they wanted to create a business in a business model where they would want to fund a lot of entrepreneurs from college joining Infosys and becoming CEOs of their smaller business. You have incubators today in almost all of your colleges, I'm sure, which are a great source of starting business. I think IIT Madras has a brilliant research park and incubation cell. I know for sure IIT Delhi has one. I know for sure Anna University has one, and there are many engineering colleges that I know who have incubators. I have been in touch with a few. I think they are again excellent place where you can start your business, get seed funding, as well as it becomes a melting point for you to get ideas. My sister started her business in one such incubators and is doing extremely well out of Bangalore. In fact, 12 years ago, she started out of a co-working place where she got incubated. And then she was doing exceptionally well. I have a friend, Deepak Ramesh, who also started in a co-working place and is now doing exceptionally well, where he met his first partner. So I think incubators are very interesting places where you can get ideas. People also extend loans after incubators. I think the easiest way is to go and borrow a little bit of money because you know somebody, and then if you can get an angel investor, I think Vipin is the right guy as an angel investor. That is an investor. So yeah, Vipin can talk more about angel investors, how they look at businesses and value businesses. The key from loans from the angel investor community is how do you value your business? That's something that we need to be cognizant about. We may not touch that in detail here, but from angel investors onwards, cash flow becomes a very interesting thinking process that as entrepreneurs we need to consider. After angel investors, we have venture capitalists. Can we move forward? Yeah. Thank you. So now that we have funding in a business and we have a business model, what next? What do we do next? We start looking at how does the business make money. Now that I have a product, now that I have a service that I can offer to my clients, I need to figure out how my business can earn money. And that is called the pricing or the revenue. Now, the interesting bit will come here. There are many different revenue models. I'm going to touch upon 7 broad ones. And I'm going to take some examples of companies which are here in terms of the revenue models. So let's look at the first one, the one that all of us come across every day. Ravna, can you press next? So how many of you know which company is this? Just slow. That's it. How many of you know which company? The first one. Can I annotate on the screen somewhere? The first one. Slow, Ravna. Hold on. Just the first one. Just press next. Yeah. So which is this company which is just zoomed in front of you? Maruti. Okay. So what's their business model? I had a few guys say Maruti. Ramesh Advani and S.K. Raj and Aditya Narayan. Okay. So everybody knows this is Maruti. Nice. So what does Maruti do for a living? Maruti sells cars. Or its easiest business model is to make a product and just sell it. This type of revenue model is called asset sale. That you make something and you exchange the ownership of asset with your potential customer and take all the money up. Excuse me. This is the simplest business model. Some other exciting companies which do asset sale are Samsung, Apple, all your tech hardware company today, a large number of them are asset sales. Real estate, construction or asset sale model. It's the easiest way to make money because you have everything in front of you in terms of cost. You know how much more you have charged and the difference is your profit. So asset sale is the easiest way. The next interesting revenue model, can we press the next? Mama? Yeah. So this slide which is expanded. So which company is this? And what is their business model? Anybody knows the second one? Chennai Metro. Yes, Subhashri got it right. Bang on. Chennai Metro is absolutely right. So what does Chennai Metro do which is different from Maruti? Chennai Metro does not sell metro. It lets people use the metro when they want it. Right? So they charge what is called a usage fee. They continue to own all the assets, but all their customers can choose to use Chennai Metro, pay a usage fees when they are using it, and enjoy the services. So almost same business, which is transportation, but a different revenue model. Now they may choose to make or not make the metro. It's a separate discussion. I'm not getting there, but they're also in the business of moving somebody from one place to another, and they charge a usage fees. Now let's look at something different. Gold. Okay, the name is obvious there. It's Gold's Gym. So what's different between a Chennai Metro and a Gold Gym? You also use Gold's Gym. You also use Chennai Metro. So what's the difference? Anybody in the chat window in terms of revenue model? Anybody wants to type something there? What, in your opinion, is the difference between subscription? Interesting. So somebody knows this. Very good. Ramesh Advani. Thank you. So it is the subscription business model where you don't pay money when you use it. You pay money when you avail yourself the ability to use the services, which is a subscription fee. Then you can choose to use it or not, is your choice. Okay. But again, it is not an exclusive use. If you go to the next one, which is Zoom Car, They have what is called an exclusive use model, revenue model, which is called a licensing or a leasing model. If you see the difference in each of them, the first one was an asset sale, the second one was you using it and paying for use. Second one was you taking subscription, option to use is yours, not necessarily the company's. The third one is you choosing to use it exclusively. Again, whether you use it or not, you have to pay the organization from which you are using the service. The fifth one, this is something which is again very interesting. I'm sure all of you know. What is this? This symbol in the middle, third, second row. What is that? It's the easiest one, I guess, of all. So what is everybody saying here? What is it? Microsoft. Very interesting. So what does it do? What does Microsoft do here? So what is their business model? Software product sale. If it is software product sale and the ownership is transferred, then don't you think it should be called an asset sale? And it should be more like Maruti. So what is Microsoft doing? Sell software for a period of time. So then wouldn't it be called subscription or leasing? Rohit has proprietary ownership. That's what Maruti does, right? You become the owner of the car that you buy from Maruti. That's called proprietary ownership. So how many of you have clicked I agree every time you install Microsoft Windows in your computer? You must have. Without that, you can't move forward. So if you notice, Ramesh Advani is now right. Microsoft does not transfer the ownership of asset to you. It just gives you the license to use that software and a non-exclusive license. And a non-exclusive license. Multiple people can use the same asset, which is Microsoft Windows, simultaneously, non-exclusively, and have to pay for it. That is called license selling. In fact, Microsoft is going one step ahead and saying, I'm not even going to charge you for licensing. They're saying if you had Windows 7, I would have upgraded you to Windows 10 or Windows 8 in between. And if you had Windows 8, I would have upgraded to Windows 10 and give you a perpetual license. So this is a very interesting model, generally coming out of software and IT, which is licensing as a business model. The next one is again interesting. Somebody know what this blue above the F symbol is? Which organization is that? Zerodha. So Avinash is already knows finance. I just thought I should introduce some brand from finance, Zerodha. So what does it do, Avinash? What does Zerodha do? It's a stockbroker. So how does it make money? How does a broker charge money? Especially Zerodha, which is zero technically, yes, that's what we say. They charge a commission or a brokerage fee. That's absolutely right. Mr. Chidambaram should have known it. Extremely famous in Indian circle. So thanks, Chidambaram. So Mr. Chidambaram got it absolutely right. Zerodha earns brokerage. It helps you buy or sell something and takes a small charge for it for letting you do it. And that is called brokerage. A significant number of businesses start in trading community like this. In fact, for every 100 businesses which do the first 4 or 5 that are there, you will have 100 plus which will do brokerage. In fact, they would be more middlemen involved in any business in the actual act of producing or delivering a service. 90% of business number of people in that business would be brokers. I mean, you can call them traders, you can call them with any different name, but most of them do what Zerodha do, which is just change hand for the product and service and earn a certain commission in between. Then, of course, Facebook. So, what does Facebook do? F or Facebook, one of the best known brands in the world. How does they earn? How do they earn money? Anybody on the chat window? Advertisement. Advertisement again. Interesting. So, who's the product in Facebook? If they earn money in advertising, who is the product? What are they advertising? Who is being sold in Facebook? User data is being sold. That's the euphemism to say you are being sold, Prabhu. Day in, day out, Facebook is selling you. You are the product. I am the product. In Facebook, every user of Facebook is being sold. So if Prabhu, you have used Facebook, then you are being sold by, and they are charging their customers a fee to reach you. So the reason why I thought it is very relevant here is because a significant number of young people in this world spend a significantly disproportionate time of theirs selling themselves to organizations without knowing they are being sold. So you may want to consider that. And if you've understood the depth of that statement, maybe create businesses which will help you reap the same rewards. As entrepreneurs, I think there are disproportionate rewards if you can figure out a mechanism where people are glued to your service. In fact, if you see, Microsoft is moving there, Zerodha is looking at that, Zoomcar is looking at that, Maruti is looking at that, Gold's Gym is looking at that. In fact, Chennai Metro is also looking at that. The reason why I showed all the other logos here is apart from their primary business model, which is how they earn money through either asset sale, usage fee, subscription fee, lending, licensing, brokerage, each one of them using brilliant gentlemen and ladies who are there on this call, figure out how they can monetize their communities and earn money by selling those users, each one of them. So I think that space is ripe for disruption in multiple different ways, and I think this is where all the good things about AI and big data and analytics that PALS is talking about, the tech community is talking about. I think every business owner should know this, irrespective of what business he or she is doing, irrespective of what stream of engineering he or she is. The reason why I thought I'll approach upon Facebook here is because you need to understand how they make money so that each one of us can replicate this or build our businesses around this. Even if this is not a primary model today, it could become our primary model. So think of this as we go forward. I'll move forward from here. So now that you have these business models, there could be more, there will be more, or there could be a combination of this, like I was telling you. And trust me, you will fail in some of these. It's not necessary that all the revenue models that you start off with will be right, and you will fail, which means success is walking from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. So you may want to consider this as a part of your business model. Now that you have revenue model, I want you to appreciate that what is a sale, because this is very interesting concept that I learned in my family business. This is not taught to you. You need to appreciate it. You don't need to I mean, you will understand it only if you appreciate it, that what is a sale. So can somebody put that in the chat window? What is your understanding of a sale? When I say revenue model, it's a sale technically. So what is a sale? I'm waiting. Let's see if somebody can answer something there. What is a sale? Is it me getting an order from my customer? Is it me getting a customer who's willing to pay? Is it me delivering a product to my customer? Is it me getting an advance from my customer? What is a sale? Exchange or good or services is a sale. So what is exchange? I mean, in more specific, launching a product or service. These are very generic. I want very specific. When does a sale happen? Supplying a customer's requirement. Hold on. So Arun Dev said supplying to customer's requirement. So I'll take Arun here in more detail. So Arun, my customer called me and said, Goyal supply 1 lakh square feet of marble and I supplied. Is that a sale? Exchange of trust is a sale. Well, I'm not sure we can. I think both of us are better off than where we are. At least retain the trust. Forget about exchanging.
No, because that response was more to get our students to.
I agree. That's why I said. I agree. That's why I said
I will get into a debate very shortly. I can see that.
No. The reason why I did what I did to Arun was because I said I wanted to build on what Arun said. I mean, no.
Okay.
The idea was to again get other people to react the way Arun reacted actually. Okay, so let's look at a proper sales cycle. Maybe we will get an idea here.
So you have Arun Kumar Rajshekharan who sort of hit the
selling of goods against exchange of money.
Yeah, nice. So, well, the name was there anyway. So coming back to sales. So if you see, all of us start with cash, which is the orange pie, and then you buy raw material, and then you have work in progress, which is converted into a finished inventory, which is then delivered to a client, and you have receivable, and then you receive money. So if you ask me, a sale is all of these 5 things happening. At the conclusion of the 5th pie is when a sale happens. Sale is not about giving goods to a client or receiving an order or receiving an advance. It is this full cycle from you having money or you starting the process of sales to you delivering service and then collecting the payment from your client, including the statutory dues and taxes and the retention, whatever the time it takes. That is the full sales completion. And the time it takes for this is called a working capital cycle. I am sure Vipin will talk a lot about this in his personal experience in detail. I'll give you an example of my previous organization. It was a SaaS company. So we spend, let's say, about 1,000 rupees to build a software. And we were able, I mean, let's take a realistic number. We spent about 1.5 crore to build the software. Okay, it was about 6 months. We went to a first consumer. We knew that the recurring cost of maintaining the software is about 2,000 rupees for about 100 users. So we priced the software for 100 users at 2 lakh rupees per month, and we went to the first customer and said, we'll give you this software for 2 lakh rupees for 100 users. So the guy negotiated, he told us, I'm your first customer and whatnot, and you should be glad that I'm even taking your software. And then we negotiated. And then he said, no, give it to me for lower. So we went and told him, so we'll give it to you free for 3 months. And after that, if you like it, we'll charge you the freemium model. So the customer was very happy. He said, okay. So we gave him 6 lakhs worth of software free for first 3 months. So we spent additional 60,000 rupees to help him run the software. At the end of 3 months, I liked our product. So he said, no, but I'm still your first customer, see. So I can't pay you 2 lakhs. So we said, okay, let's negotiate. We finally settled at 50,000 a month. So we are still making money. We are still making 30,000 rupees. But now we had our first paying customer. Now, do you think I made a sale here? Yes, no, maybe. Can somebody write in the window? Or if you have a question, you can ask me. So it's a case study. He said he'll pay us 50,000 for the software. 50,000 a month. And this is a real case. Okay. So let's assume that I assume that this is a sale. And I was very happy and I accounted it in my books of accounts saying 50,000 rupee revenue generated. Do you know what happens the moment you record this in your book of accounts? You have to pay government 10,000 rupees as GST. Even if the guy doesn't pay you. And then you send him the invoice and he sits on it for 2 months. And the next month you again send him an invoice of 50,000. And the third month you send him another invoice of 50,000. So you already paid the government of India 30,000 rupees as GST because you raised invoice for 50, 50, 50 and your revenue says 1,50,000, cost is 60,000. You're very happy. You've made 90,000 rupees as profit. At the end of third month says, sorry, I didn't like your software, tata bye bye. And I'm not even going to pay you the 1,50,000 because I didn't like your software. What do? Not only did you spend 60,000 in running the guy, but you ended up paying 30,000 to the government just because you chose to raise an invoice of 1,50,000. And that is the whole working capital cycle that we need to understand. This is the key of any business. Vipin will talk about this in more detail as we go. This is where problem starts because now I am out of money by 90 and I don't know what to do because I don't have the money to pay my next salary. And then I start looking at raising more money and I can talk about beautiful case studies of names in the Indian IT system. The public forum is not what I want to name them, but this typically happens to most businesses if you don't get your working capital cycle right. With this, over to you, Vipin.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to introduce myself. Unlike Goel, I don't come from a very business family as such, but a family of migrants. Our community was migrants, like on the border areas between India and Pakistan. They all came to the city of Bombay without any capital, without any education, and just they wanted to do very good. And that's what they call Bombay a city of gold. So there was no gold in their pocket, not even a bread in their pocket, when the entire community survived. So over the years, and those were the days before partition, then the partition came and everything was haywire. But how they managed was always inspiring me, how they managed. They had nothing. The province which they came from just had 4 schools in 1947, the entire something like 25% of average state of India. So you can understand that background, and yet they made it. So there was something in the community which always inspired me. And of course, I was so happy that coming from such community, I could manage to enter IIT Bombay, and of course, later became an entrepreneur myself. Now let us come to where Vikas has left. Like here, you have already started a factory or a production or something is there in the running. You have already had your money is there, your idea is there, somebody has funded you. Now you are in the market, absolutely brand, there is certain X amount of money with you and you are engineer. So you can work out what is your working capital requirement and you work. Now you take the cycle, like you want to, suppose if it is an idea or a software. So here the salaries will be the main thing. The electricity bill, the rent will be there, and all that will come, and you're going to get paid after 3 months. Then what will happen, whether you're going to get money out of 3 months or not? He has given you an example, which was like he extended credit to a person and that credit did not work. So why it did not work? What was his mistake in uh, giving credit, or was it the mistake in assessment of the person to whom he has given credit, or was it a mistake in the very first say that he did not do his proper what you call say the diligence in about the customer? So these are the things which I would like to take. Can we go to the first slide? No, the first one. Now, no, this one, keep this one. Now, if your working capital is something which will decide whether you are going to have sufficient cash flows to need to pay your everyday expense. Cash is something like, the blood, or you can say the oxygen on which the company runs. If you do not pay attention to it, you just can't survive. But you should not make your system such. You should have your own rules and regulations. You should have your own discipline. There is no government of India rule. There is no other peer pressure on you. It is your own pressure. Now you have come up with a certain bright idea. You want to survive. You want to win. And so the discipline for you should come from you. The first discipline is that you will use your money very, very cautiously. Second, you will decide the working capital and the amount of money that is required. Now, suppose you come up with a order which requires a higher capital and a higher working capital, but you do not have that capital. So you will have the courage to say no, because if you go for it, this is another way of like you will end up working lack of working capital instead of growing. What will happen is your salary will be delayed. You will not be able to pay your taxes because Vikas told about GST and all that, because you have overgrown, and you have gone for more customers than what your working capital would decide for you. And so you're not going to pay tax on time. And since you're not going to pay tax on time, you will be ending paying penalty for it, interest on it, and of course it will bring less profits. Second thing is again since your cash has gone from a value which was there and it has got depleted, so again it will bring salary delays and all this thing. The first thing that will happen is people will lose trust in you. This is very important thing. No business runs without trust. Your employees have to trust you, your customers have to trust you, your suppliers have to trust you, and the person sitting in the government also, he may not trust you, but if your payments are regular, he may have a sometimes soft corner for you. So all this, first thing that goes wrong when you don't put discipline on yourself is that you lose the trust. Once the trust is lost, it will be taking humongous amount of efforts to rebuild the trust, so and to keep your enthusiasm alive. So don't be a bit of negative thinking, I will say, but don't cross the self-discipline. That use your money very cautiously. Don't take orders which are going to take more amount of your working capital. Don't take orders which will increase the working capital cycle. Don't take order which will bring in more capital. You will have to invest more of your capital into certain fixed assets. So you'll have to buy more plant and machinery. So all this extra money that is going will straight away reduce your working capital. So simply you have to think twice, not thrice, 4 times or multiple times. Think of it before you say yes to a very large order. So what do you do? Should you let go the order? No. The answer is that you go for increasing this working capital. Unless this working capital is not, or you have not tied up with your working capital, you should not take the order. Now I'll come to another point. What are the methods of which you can increase your working capital? And later on, I will go to the how do you do the credit assessment for which Vikas had started. Now, cash flow comes from the money that is plowed back into the business. Now, how does it come? It goes because you have a higher revenue, and the more the volume, the more the customers. Now, how do these customers increase? So you have the customers who will refer to other customers, the same customer whom they have trusted you with a product or an idea and they are finding it worthwhile. So they will come back to you and they will give you another marketing leads, and they will also inspire you to create new products. Now, when you go for a new product, definitely it will have a higher margin in the beginning because you do not have it, you don't foresee any competition. So all the time you should try to go for a new product or go into a new market where this product is not sold or you have less competition. So this is how you will get more revenue and that will increase your cash flow. Okay. Second thing is operating margin. So here is how you, if the trust element is built and it is successful, you will get better deals with your supplier. Suppose you are paying everybody on time. Why? Because you have a very good cash flow or a stable cash flow. Then you can further improve it by asking for a higher credit time. So like one thing leads to another. But again, you have to ensure that the extra credit you got or a discount you got, then you are maintaining the trust of your supplier. So that is the reason that you should never do anything which will affect your liquidity and the cash flow is maintained. Second thing is many times your goods are returned. Now, what happens when you are not having good enough systems in the factory and the quality of your goods is bad, or you have given a software where you have not debugged it possibly and the customer is not happy, he gives you back your goods or your software, everything, and entire cash flow cycle gets affected. So better have a system in which your quality is very good and there are no returns at all, either of software or if like, for example, anything which goes and it comes back, because you will have the working capital will cycle will now start from the day you have done the replacement. So so like it will take away, suppose you have 2 times profit that the cash flow, it was there for 2 or 3 times of your positive, one negative return will cancel all that to you. So see that your quality, don't be in a hurry to supply, and always first build the systems in your organization such that the quality is very good. Second thing is, second is something which you engineers can do very well, is like you reduce your overheads, you reduce shipping time, you reduce the people on payroll. Now, one biggest disadvantage of being an engineer is there is an over zeal to do everything yourself. Please control it. There are people who can do things better at a lower cost, while you should put your focus only on the prime object of your company is, that is to increase the revenue growth, operating margin, and capital efficiency. This itself will increase your cash flow. And as the cycle will keep repeating itself, you will see that more profits come to it. Second is this, I brought capital efficiency. Now, many times you face issue that you want to sell something, or let's say, let's take example, a product in which your margin is very low, but the person is saying, I'll go to pay you within 15 days. And there is a customer who says he's paying you 3 times the margin, but he says, I will pay you in 3 months. Now, here you have to take a call. It's very simple for me. I would like to go for a customer who pays you even with a lower margin in 15 days or even slightly 30 days rather than because 3 or 4 months of higher credit means you don't know what is going to happen in next 3 months. So your level of uncertainty goes very high. So try to, even with a lower margin, try to work with a shorter cycle. Then second thing is your inventory management. Now here are two things about inventory management. If you read any book, it will say that you reduce your inventory, so there is no inventory cost. Now, most of your startups will end up, or in the first stage, you will not be a large conglomerate, but you will be supplying to other large companies. So they are looking for you to have certain inventory so they can get goods at the simple telephone call, or so they will ask you to build a certain inventory in yourself. Now what you should do is then you should have that trust with your dealer supplier, your own supplier. So something like that, it passes on, but you will always not reduce the inventory to an extent that your reliability as a supplier is under question. So please don't go by textbook argument of reducing the inventory. This will work against you, at least not in the case of startups and small companies. Have sufficient inventory so that your reliability as a supplier is not affected. This is so by all this I've already talked about about the buying efficiency. Second is that this part I want to talk about higher returns on assets. Now, suppose I should go for every type of financing, like even my purchase has to be financed. So there is you can get your purchase finance through banks or through many other agencies. And even your assets can be financed by taking it on lease or something. So all such things that you have to do, your one only concern is to reduce outflow of money. So you will see that if you go for leasing, so your leasing cost will be lower than the installments which you go for if you buy an asset. So all those things. And overall, finally, if you come up with any proprietary technology, then of course you can have better pricing and that can improve your cash flow. Now, the last part of this thing is how in business, credit is very important. You cannot grow without giving credit to your customers. You say, I'm not going to give credit because it's very uncertain, then you just can't grow. People want credit from you, and if you say, I'm not going to give any credit, that discussion will end there and there. So you are not going to grow. Then how do you do this? So first and foremost, when you go, you will do a peer review, that you will find out who are the peers of your potential customer. Take a review about him. What is his standing? Now, in the age of internet, it's possible to find out whether that X, Y, and Z of your customer, has he paid tax on time? It's possible. If it's a public limited company or a private limited company, all his tax this thing details are on net, or there are agencies who will give you this. So here is first thing. If he pays tax on time and there is then that is your first okay green signal, you can go for it. Second you have to do is which industry he is. Suppose he is in the farming industry. Now if he is going to sell agro products, and agro products are decided by the monsoon, and it's very difficult for him to get his money on time. Suppose he is not going to get his money on time, how is he going to pay you on time? So you have to ask this question to yourself. So you have to find out which industry that which you are going to supply. For example, if you are one example in the earlier was about the drone. and the drones are supposed to be sold to farmers, then if the farmer is going to take credit from you, be assured the minimum time that he will give, the money is going to come back will not be less than 6 to 7 months. Or it may even go to 1 year. He will tell you, I'll give you when the next crop comes. So that will be even 9 months, 8 months, God knows. So you have to find out which industry he is going, you're dealing with. Second thing is, there are agencies now who take credit insurance. So when you say that I want to give this money on credit to XY, the credit insurance companies will ask you to follow certain rituals or the routine paperwork they will ask you. So the order is there, your PAN number of the customer is there. So they will themselves will do the credit rating, and based on their this thing information or advice, you will extend credit. And here, after, because when it's something like an insurance, so you are parting part of your profit with those companies, and the premium is being paid. In case of default, some part of that money will come to you from these credit insurance companies. And finally, you have to visit the customer and see how his body language is. Suppose he's giving you a very big talk, he's trying to impress you, be careful. So this is, you have to be very, and of course, you have to see what are the, sometimes he may even take you to the plant, then you can see what are the infrastructure he has. Now, when you go see a infrastructure in the plant, the first thing that you are going to see is that he's got surplus money to modernize his factory. If that surplus money is there with him, so it means that he may have sufficient profits in his business to pay you on time. So these are certain life lessons which I am parting with you, how you can do your credit risk assessment. And of course, you will learn much more than me in your, I think that's okay for me. You have any questions, you can ask. Thank you.
Thanks, Vipin. I think after you heard Vipin and me, I think this becomes paramount. You must fall in love with what you do, because being an entrepreneur is a lot of hard work and overcoming a lot of adversity. I don't want to frighten you, but from that love will come dedication that you will get out of bed at 4 a.m. because of the great idea you just had. Or you will get to work till 11 p.m. and not feel tired. Yeah.
Any questions? Nice.
Now you can ask questions. We are at your disposal and we will take them. You may also choose to mention whom you want to ask the question to, and we'll build from there.
Need we ask questions?
Why don't you be the Slido first?
We'll do the Slido 11 o'clock. Yeah. Okay, all of you wake up, and Barney will take you through a quiz to validate your listening
Yeah,
comprehension. Okay, Barney.
yes, thank you. Okay, I'm going to now share you a link for all the participants. Please click this link, and then it will take you to a browser. That's a Slido browser. You please register yourself. Your name and email ID is required there. Please give the same name and email ID which you used to register for this event. And please remain in that
Now
browser.
copy it to YouTube.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. So please remain in that browser. I'm going to launch the quiz, and you can start answering the questions there. Those who are not, we like everybody to participate. In case some of you are not participating, you can stay in the Zoom. You can see how this, how is it progressing.
This quiz is to validate your understanding, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll
Please,
give you 2 minutes to
I
register
will encourage
yourself.
everyone to take the quiz.
Yeah.
So that it will give us an idea how well it was understood by you.
You can follow the link or you can use this QR code. It will take you to the same place. Okay, the quiz is visible. Good. There are 10 questions. Okay, the questions are coming here. Please hold on, we'll finish the slide out. You can put the questions, we'll get the answers for that. I think many of you have registered now. Let me see, I can just activate the quiz now. Please join the quiz. So I hope, yeah, so many people are there now. How many audience we have, Lavana?
More than 300, sir. Including us.
Okay, we hope to see all of you participating in the quiz. 300 answers would be very nice. Okay, I will start the quiz now. We'll go to the first question. Okay, you start a business with which of these? Just an idea, or when you have the capital, or when you have a good management team, or all of the above? All of the above be ready. Yeah. So let's see who gets it right. Okay, I mean, I know this is a typical mentality. The moment you see all of the above, people go for it. That's what you have done now. Let's see which is the right answer. No, if you wait all of them to be ready, you will be waiting forever. Okay, so that's what you have to understand. You have to get started when you have an idea in place. Okay, let's go to the next question. What do you need to run a business? The idea plus capital, the idea plus a management team, capital plus management team, or you need all of the above to run the business. Okay, there is a difference here. Okay, let's see who gets it right this time. This time it is indeed all of the above. You need all of them to run the business. Okay. Typically, who is your first source of funds? Okay, remember the question, it is talking about first source of funds. I mean, there are multiple options: venture capitalists, angel investors, friends and family, all of the above. Okay. You got it right. Most of them are, I think, 70,
Yeah.
60. Good. It's a good show. Okay, a revenue model is, what is a revenue model? How do you get funds from the market? How will you charge your client for your product or service? How do you control your cost? All of the above. Which one is the revenue model? Okay, let's see who got it, how many got it right. 34% has got it right. He was expecting more. You should understand what is a revenue model. So please go through it, very important. Okay, selling asset is a revenue model of. This was discussed pretty much in detail. I hope you all remember what is that. Whether was it a revenue model of Facebook, or is it Maruti, or is it Ola, Uber, or is it for everybody? Okay, let's see who got it right. 36% has got it right. I think I think you should revisit the recording. I think it's a very important discussion has happened. Probably we should learn it more. Okay, this is in the middle of, right now we are in the 50% stage. 5 questions because you cannot be answering because. Okay. We have Avinash, who is the fastest finger, though you are the 4 out of 5. A lot of people have got it. The fastest finger first is Avinash. So let's move to the 6th question.
Well, for the participants, the questions were known to me, not the answers.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Microsoft Windows has a revenue model based on. Okay, this was also discussed, but there is a small change in that. Let's see that. Okay. So I would say this is all of the above. The reason is Microsoft Windows has now come up with additional models. The licensing is their typical model that has been there for 3 decades now. But with the latest introduction of Azure and Microsoft 365, they have introduced subscription fee also, usage fee also. So you don't need a capex for the licensing every time. You can even manage your business with the operating cost using this new models for Microsoft. Working capital has how many steps? That picture has come out very well. You should know by this time. I think 50% has got it right. Okay. The main source of funds for startup. Who can be the main source of funding? Okay, actually, so the 36% has got it right. The next question is, what method do we use for evaluating a business? Free cash flow is the right answer. 27% has got it right. The last question, when is the best time to raise funds? I think this is more of what is the best practice that you adopt? Let's see how many got it right. Actually, very 6% has got it right. Raising funds, you do it only when you actually don't need it. Raising funds is basically going through the you're selling your share capital. Okay, so that's the difference here. So let's see who is the winner. Okay, Avinash M, he is 6 out of 10. The last question seems to be the most difficult question. Good. Thank you all.
Avinash Yam is from
Sorry?
Sairam Institution.
Okay. Iron Institute. Okay. Good. Many of you have got 6 out of 10. Thank you.
And Rohita from Sri Vishnu Education Society.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that listening. Do you have any questions based out of the quiz that you saw right now? I'm sure there were a lot of questions which are 33, 37. That's a clear difference in the way you understood what was given. So, any questions? Yes.
Participant can post your questions or raise
Okay,
your hand.
keep
We will
posting.
unmute and speak up.
A few questions are come in Slido. I'm going to post it there.
Yeah,
Can you share a few more monetization?
models.
There is 2 questions in the chat box. Sir, sir, you are muted. Vikas, sir, you are muted. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Okay. So thank you. I think some interesting questions. The first question I take, and Vipin and others can add on, is what is the revenue model for Microsoft Windows? I think it started with licensing, where it allowed people to use Microsoft Windows for a certain period of time. Generally, it was infinite, but then your hardware decided how long, and they used to charge you for it. But now, like Bernie was saying, they've moved to a model where you don't have to own anything. In fact, they are giving you a usage fee and a subscription fee model, where with Microsoft 365, they are saying you don't have to own anything. You just need a browser, and even Windows is available to you on subscription. I think they've moved there. As an organization, about 8 years ago, we stopped buying Office as a software, and we moved into a subscription fee model, where we were paying for our ability to use Office whenever we want, yearly fees for a certain amount. For our email also, about 10 years ago, I saw this coming when I was in my previous organization, Classel, and signed up with Yahoo, where I got 1 TB email boxes, 1,000 for 3,000 rupees. It's unheard of in the industry today. I was one of the first subscribers to Yahoo's paid email service. Therefore, my organization, I got 1,000 email box corporate email ID service from Yahoo for 3,000 rupees, and each email box is 1 terabyte of data. Typically, if I go to any service provider for this kind of numbers today, I will maybe end up paying almost $100,000, if not more. So that's the kind of low cost services were being offered 10 years ago for early migrators. So today I have 3 separate credit cards entered in my Yahoo mailbox to ensure that my annual fees is paid on time, in fact sometimes before time, so that they don't discontinue the service that they give. So revenue model, I think, to answer your question again, has moved from licensing to usage to subscription to a combination of all 3. That's what Microsoft does. It is also doing asset sale in terms of their hardware devices that they sell. But predominantly, I think the revenue comes from these 3. And licensing is increasingly becoming smaller and smaller. Next question on 1 second. So the next question is, can you share few more monetization model? Like I shared, Bernie, it could be a combination of them. Asset sale plus usage, subscription, lending, leasing, brokerage, advertising. People are also doing experiencing, which is also a very interesting revenue model, where you come and experience something interesting and you pay for it. So your a classic case would be a VR virtual world, where people are coming and experiencing certain things, and for every incremental experience you are paying money. There are more. We can get in detail about it. I have a document on it. If you want, I can share it through the PALS team to everybody, and people can look at what they can do. Gamification is an interesting business model again, where people create games and make or earn money in that. Another business model is freemium, where you give almost everything free, and for additional services you charge a certain fee. So that's another business model that I can talk about. So I can give you more details and maybe share the document that is there with me, which the PALS team can maybe share it with them.
If you have a link, you can post it in the chat. People will take it.
Not, I will have to create it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there could be more. I hope I have added Bernie there. 1 second, sorry. More in chat. When is the best time to raise funds? Arjun had asked this. I think it was more a pun intended on timing. The best time is when you don't need money, is when everybody wants to give you money. If you see most organizations, when they have excellent cash flows and exceedingly good growth coming to them in the next few years, is when they go to the market and raise money by selling their stake and making a potload of money. But if you remove the time part out, then when you raise money is when you need money. That's the way to look at it. But the best time is when you actually don't need money, is when you will get the maximum bang for your money. Then what else do we have as question? Why VCs are, Vipin, you want to take this? Why VCs are not main source of funds for startups? We were talking
More
about.
question also there, sir.
I think
After
VCs are a source of funds for the startup, not a main source, because VCs would first thing, they are not interested in how good your idea is or uh, whether their model is good. They would see how much money they are going to make out of it. The way they look at it is slightly different. So once you have started moving and making profit, and they are enticed enough to see that, suppose your growth is suppose 2 times, 3 times, and you can create an impression that it can be even higher than that, then the venture capitalist would come to it. But it is not a general rule. You can always approach, because there is no one single yardstick by which a venture capitalist can do. Some are like a focused venture capitalist. He is interested in certain things. He is motivated by certain ideas. So these are different ways. So you cannot have a general say venture capital is not the main source of funds. Main source of funds would always be investors, whoever are, you can call them venture capitalists or you can call them mainstream investors. They are investors apart from yourself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Because you can.
Question by Isak Raj, where do we get initial capital other than family and friends? I was sharing this in the presentation. You have incubators, you have business grants, you have angel investors, and you have organizations which fund a certain type of ideas. These are called focused funds. I think you can approach all of them. Of course, your customers also are excellent source of funding for you. In case you have a brilliant product, a lot of customers are willing to give you advance. Classic case is defense. If you're able to create a product which is very, very useful for the nation, I think government is willing to fund you as a customer very early, even in an idea stage. Another example is the vaccine that we all have been taking for COVID. I think the Covaxin was Covishield, if I'm right, was funded by the government as an advance payment as a customer for its development. If you have a good idea and a good product, I think customers are also a very good source of funding for you.
One more thing. If you are producing exclusively for a single customer, or then you should not move inch without an advance. So without an advance, suppose if that's it, very clear. I mean, even if the order is very big, but if the customer is single, am I muted?
No, I can
sir,
hear
you're
you.
audible. You're audible.
We
sir.
can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So that is a very again giving a precautious statement that if you are having a product at which there is only a single customer and you are going to mold it everything for him, then just don't move anything without a substantial advance from him. Okay, so he should be a stakeholder in the product itself.
Makes
Okay.
sense. Thank you. There is another question. Why the companies evaluated by free cash flow, not by number of servers? The purpose of a business is to make money in most cases. There may be a few which have a different purpose. Then they look at their business differently. But significant number of businesses start, and I'm sure all of us want to start business here to obviously have some positive change, but to make money and take care of a family and families. Now, that meeting of our requirement will happen from the excess free cash flow that our business is able to generate. And hence, in most cases, businesses are evaluated by the free cash flow that they produce. In fact, that is the surest way of making sure that you have a right profitable business financially. So yes, I'm not saying that's the only way. I'm not even attempting to say it is not the only way. But from a finance perspective, I think as a purist in finance, I would say I would always value a business only on free cash flow basis. You can add more to it.
No, that also, if a company which is coming back to my presentation on credit risk, a higher free cash flow will reduce the credit risk of the potential supplier. So you have also to see that whomever you are supplying is cash rich enough to pay you on time. Okay.
So I hope.
So there's this question on how to deal with a price sensitive market.
So let me answer this.
Yeah.
There are price sensitive market is the two-way thing. One is that your raw material inputs prices are going up, but your finished good prices are not going up. So then you are in a fix. What to do? The best thing is that you create a price structure in such a way that you link your prices, the sales good, with the price of certain index or raw material price, and be very clear about it to your potential customer. Suppose this price goes up, then my final finished good price also goes up. And second, of course, is you have a short validity. Your quotations are of very short validities, but that doesn't work. This works for a long way, that you link your final finished good price with some index or some certain raw material price, certain commodity price. Okay, thank you.
I think the classic business which does this is jewelers.
Yeah.
All the product that they sell is classically linked to the gold price every day morning. So they're completely immune from the sales side on price fluctuation. I mean, volume fluctuation, yes, but price fluctuation is completely immunized. So, yeah, I mean, jewelers have been, and I'm sure all of us have been to a jewelry store, either individually or with our family. So it's the best place if you want to understand how price sensitive market works, and yet they make significant money.
Yeah.
Another place where price sensitive market works and yet they make a lot of money is bank. So both of them are giving you very interesting product, which is almost a commodity, and yet they make it appear as completely otherwise product. So it's a brilliant learning if you can understand how a jeweler works in a bank.
Somebody has asked, for a startup, should I have a unique idea or improve the version of the product or service which is already existing?
So this is an interesting. I think Vipin is more experienced in it, and I think Vipin should answer.
Yeah, the success of your this thing, your idea, if it's a unique idea, there are chances that you will success. But then success depends on many other things. Whether the idea will succeed, not succeed, you will have a market for it or will not have a market for it. Whether because by the time the product comes into the market, the need of the customer has already changed, and suddenly you find that all your efforts have gone wasted. So that is one way of looking at it. Second thing, if there is a product in the market and it's doing well, and you are looking at it, okay, this is doing well, so there is a market for it, people are paying it. But if I improve the product, add more features to it, I will definitely get a greater share of the market. People already know the product. Now you are giving a superior, then your chances of whatever you are doing, improvement of a product, there your success chances are very high. So what I'm saying is very interesting. Even though it's not your unique idea, you have got greater chances of success.
But there is also a paralysis, like this is what I want, minimum what you talked about it in the minimum value proposition where you said this many features are good, any additional, unless it's going to be to make a big difference in the functionality or the comfort level, it is not going to be accepted.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
true what you say.
You have to look at the
But
cost.
in the sense there is a market, already a market for it.
Yeah.
For example, like
there's a brilliant book by Clayton Christensen on Innovator's Dilemma and Innovator's Solution. I think every business man or an entrepreneur looking to do business should definitely read that book if he's looking at innovation. Brilliant books.
You put the name of the book alone in the chat.
Yeah,
You'll find
I
out
will.
where it is. So shall we have Arun next? Shall we call it a day for the questions? And
One more question is
one
there.
more question. Which question?
What are the parameters?
What
to
are the
compare
parameters to compare the small margin and the large margin?
Vipin, go ahead.
yeah, this is basically a small margin. If you are working the 100%, first thing is how fast the money is going to come back. Because the number of time your inventory is churning. Inventory start from your raw material to finished goods. How many times it is churning in a year? That is very important. For example, in my case, like once upon a, like when I was supplying to small people, they would come to me. I would charge with a certain hefty margin, and the money would come back to me in 3 months' time. But then suddenly I was approached by a multinational company. He says, look, you got a brilliant idea. This extra, your product is very good. We'll pay you in 15 days. I said, fine. But then the margin was so low. I said, should I do or should I not do? Because but then I started doing for it. The reason is the money started churning fast. Suppose I was getting a rupee, but I was happy that it was churning again and again and again. So typically a three-month cycle in the best would give me a 4 times churn, but a 1 month cycle would give me a 12 times. So my margin increased. So you have to do this permutation and combination. You should not end up in something that the margin is so low that even if it is 12 times churning, you don't get anything. Then you become just a general manager of that company, a multinational, working for him for almost the salary part. Be careful.
Very interesting.
Shall we
Yes,
go to the
Sarma,
next
let
part?
me just,
Quick,
Yeah, I think
Arun.
we should move.
I think Arun can take the floor next. Thank you, Vipin and Vikash for an excellent rendition and taking questions from the people. Arun will give the closing remarks and then how to see all these things that you learned in the past 2 weeks plus today into your concept and design document to the best of your ability. Arun.
yeah, let me just share my screen. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Vikas and Vipin. Both cost and revenue models are a difficult subject. And I think both of you brought in a lot of clarity on how that is to be handled. Now, let me just share my screen here and then I'll quickly like to take you through. Sorry. Okay, so this is our Innova 21-22. What are the theme and what are the different areas that we wanted to do? This is the lean canvas that was presented in our webinar 1 by Ramesh Adavi. Brought in a lot of clarity as to think in terms of these 9 quadrants, in terms of problems, in terms of solutions, customer segments, unique value proposition, etc. And he did give you a lot of examples and explanations about minimum viable product, etc. So this is what he brought out. What is a lean startup in terms of customer development and agile development? So the main point in this whole lean startup movement is about developing customers, not about products. Don't be too stuck up about products. It's about identifying customers who will pay for the services or products that you want to deliver. And then the agile development, which is about developing the minimum viable product and then building in features which will get you more remuneration and more income. So this is what we saw in webinar 1, the problem, the unique value proposition, and the different customer segments in terms of customer archetype. What does he do? What are his pains? What are his gains? And how do you try to address those requirements? What are the early adopters? And then we also saw the unique value proposition, the single compelling message as to why customers should be coming to you. We did in the second webinar, we did start off with a little bit more about the unique value proposition in terms of what is it? What is that compelling message that will sway customers to you? If I go back to that question today, I was to, should my idea be unique or should my idea be something of an improvement to what in the market? It should be something as an improvement to the market because it's got to be a new value proposition which customers will be willing to pay for you. Otherwise, it's not going to be of interest. Then we looked at channels in webinar 2. Why do you need channels? Where do channels come into the whole picture? These are your customer touch points and play a very big role in terms of their experience. We also looked at key matrices for a digital business in terms of unique customers, growth and registrations, customer acquisitions, customer feedback. Ultimately, today, a lot of things get into that J curve if the customer feedback is positive. So this is what we had in webinar 1. We had the problem, unique value proposition, customer tools. And webinar 2, we had the channels and key matrices. And today we had about revenue models in terms of Maruti's and Zerodha to Microsoft. There have been a lot of discussions, a lot of things. What I find very unique here is if you compare Chennai Metro, Maruti, and Zoom Car, all of them are in the field of mobility. Their main purpose is to provide you mobility, but each of them have different models in terms of sale of assets, use the asset and pay as you use, or you lease the asset and make a differential payment. Sorry. We also looked at the working capital cycle. Ultimately, any business has to generate cash. It has to generate positive margins. And what is the cycle? I think there's been a lot of discussions in the Q&A as well as to what is the importance of free cash flow and how important it is to be in control of this whole cycle. So today we had a good look at the revenue streams and the cost structure. The remaining two things left on the chart are your unique advantage and solution. Solution is something that you come up as you solve the problem, identify the customer segments, identify their requirements, create your unique value proposition, generate your minimum viable product, test out that product in terms of customer acceptance, customer's ability to pay, and fix all the other parameters in terms of how will you reach it to them, how will you monitor whether your business is in the right path, how do you take corrective action, how do you do agile development. There are two other squares. There's one other thing there which is about unique advantage. Unique advantage is something that cannot be replicated. It could be in different forms. It could be in terms of your personal capabilities, your creativity. If you look at Apple, any Apple product is said, I think assembled in China, but designed in Cupertino, California. So the unique advantage is something that cannot be replicated by anybody else, and it will not be very easy to replicate as well. So if they're going to do the same thing as you're doing, it's going to be more expensive for them and therefore of less interest. So these are the different elements of the concept and design document that we want you to develop fill up, and explain, and create extensive notes as you start creating these, because all of those notes will become very useful when you come in for that pitch your plan exercise in front of a set of panelists from industry. Ultimately, the shortlisting of your projects happens at that pitch your plan. Everybody gets a chance to pitch your plan, and it's important that you have a good preparation for this, and also copious notes, which will help you in answering a lot of questions that could come up over there. So I hope we have touched upon all the basics that we have done here. What we are trying to do in this whole exercise of Innova this year is try to give our students an exposure to the lean startup methodology, especially in the terms of a digital startup for students and university students. This lean canvas captures all that you need to look at in trying to create a sustainable business model, which will be of interest and going forward. Now, I'd just like to highlight here, while we do say these are all for entrepreneurs, people who have a calling. I mean, when you see some of the videos, they talk about entrepreneurship is a calling. What Vikas put there, that you are prepared to jump out of your bed at 4 in the morning, you're prepared to slog it out till 11 in the night. It is not a job, it is not a work, but it is something that is of interest to you, and therefore you want to get it done. Yes, entrepreneurship is an area where the lean canvas setup can happen, but I can also tell you, even in large organizations, when they want to set up new projects or they want to have new ideas to be implemented, they have a very similar approach in terms of the lean canvas approach, where smaller teams are created, the teams are given adequate freedom to try and develop the model, test out the model, test out different hypotheses, establish what works, what does not work, and then create a sustaining model using the different facilities that the company can offer. So this lean canvas is something that students should be aware of, not only when they turn out to be entrepreneurs, but also when you're joining a company. It will be good to have a good knowledge of what it takes to complete this whole cycle. On the net, in YouTube, there are a lot of videos that we would recommend you to spend time and go through. These are videos by Steve Blanks, one of the key pioneers in the lean startup movement. Alexander Osterwilder, who talks extensively about value propositions, designing value propositions, identifying what works, how it does not work. Eric Ries, who's given a seminal book about the lean startup. And there are many, many different videos about customer development. Because again, here I want to emphasize, it is about customer development and product development, which is very different from product development. When you have a Maruti car and you go to the market, some customers tell you, I want a bigger car, I want a softer suspension, I want a bigger engine. That is one thing. But it's quite another thing to ask a customer, what does he want to do if he has to go from point A to point B? What are his main callings in terms of cost or in terms of comfort or in terms of other aspects? So the way the questions are framed when you talk to your customers are very different. And I find on the YouTube channels, you have a number of videos about how do you go about doing customer development. Like I said in the beginning, this is just an introduction of our students to the lean startup methodology. It is difficult to cover the entire gamut in detail as expected in all those books, but we would urge our students to spend a lot of time in going through these YouTube channels and other references that are provided here to get a better understanding of this and implement those as they start building up their model and filling up the concept and design document, which will be the first document for review in your pitch your plan. Along the way, let me also tell you, there are a lot of good videos about Airbnb's pitch to VCs when they started their business. Very interesting videos. Uh, I would recommend you spend a lot of time on that. Probably there could be a sort of a framework on which you could develop your presentation for that pitch you're planning. So with this, I think we come to the end. Again, I want to emphasize it's about customer development, it's about agile development. And like we said, failure is expected and failure is a pathway to learn. I think there was also a very nice slide which Vikas put up.
Yeah. Said failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's not, failure does not push you down. It's only when you don't get up that it is a failure. So this is what I had. I do hope we've been able to convey what is expected. We'll be pleased to have any further questions that you may have here. And I think I would encourage Ramesh, Bharani, and all the others as well to chip in with the responses. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Arun. I have also posted a link to the Innova page. Probably, Arun, we can post some of the recommended resources as well if we feel it is a good thing to do. And I've also posted the 3 webinars that happened last year, which will give you a good idea as to how you should brainstorm, design thinking, and the like. So you can use those for some of the processes and use the lean methodology, which was taught this year, which was given as an input to you this year for creating your concept and design document. Any questions, guys? Guys and girls. Any quick questions? Please feel free to talk.
I will repaste it. I will repaste it.
You already pasted.
Yeah, but students is asking again.
Repost those links. It's, said.
While we wait for others' questions, I just want to make one final comment. I would like to say that now is a fantastic time for engineering college students like you to get into a startup mode. The amount of emphasis and focus that the government is putting towards developing the startup ecosystem, especially in these new technologies, it is expected that India is on the path of being one of the major technology innovators. It's already in the top 3, and chances are that, you know, with lesser emphasis on China and US also kind of peaking, and a very young population that India has, I think we are in a very good spot. But the responsibility to make it happen is in the hands of you guys. That's what I like to state, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I mean, this is not just pep talk.
Thank you, Ramesh. As usual. I think we have not any more questions. So I would like to announce the hackathon. I wish you all the best when you form your teams and submit your concept and design documents to your Innova coordinators first. And they will select 5 best teams from each of the colleges and register with PALS Innova. Meanwhile, we are coming up with a hackathon in 3D printing, for which the registration link has been sent. Lavna, do you have the link? You can probably post it here when I keep talking. And people can register in 3 or 4 member teams, preferably interdisciplinary, and you will get to know more about the competition on the 2nd of September, 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., where we give where a company that is having this hackathon comes and gives a presentation, and it is followed by a quick test, which will further qualify the teams to participate in the competition. There are about 8 cases, and you can get more information when you register. And Lavana can also share the link for the
Should I
meeting.
post here, ma'am?
Yes,
The
post it
hackathon
here.
link,
Yeah, post the
registration link.
registration link and the meeting link.
Registration
to
should
have-
happen only through Teams, no, ma'am?
It will happen as a team.
Yeah, then it will
So
be.
we can you can send your question. If you have any questions to ask, then please call my number and I'll be able to explain. This has been shared with your EC members and IC members. So
If we share here, the students will start entering. No?
let them enter. They have to form teams and enter that registration.
But they will not listen and done individually.
Huh?
Should I?
You don't want to post it here, they can get it from
Yeah, that's the better thing, I believe.
now this is the form which has been shared, and I also want to have the link for the meeting. Only those who have registered can come for the meeting. So okay, let the company send the link for the meeting. That's okay.
Yes, ma'am. I will share it with them through mail.
Yeah.
The attendees.
I think
I've
you
shared
should keep
already.
it separately or no? I think
Yeah,
you
I'll
should
keep it separate. This is
Yeah.
not the
The
same as
test is
Innova.
Anusjata here. The test is also team test. It is not an individual test. So we will have a lot of. I mean, they need to form the teams and then take the test, I suppose.
Yes, it's one team will take a test. That's about.
Yeah.
If all 3 take, then it will be the average. Then it will bring down the number actually.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not confusing it with Innova. Sorry, Arun. I thought I shouldn't tell much, but these are the people who also participate in competitions, and this will be a good thing to start with, because to apply the knowledge that they've got in whatever way. We will also have another aware webinar by around the I think 3rd week of October or so, where we will talk about presentations and pitching and how to pitch your plans. So that will happen at a later date. So only 2 things at this point. Please form your teams for Innova, create your, get your idea in place, your notes in place with respect to the lean startup, and then submit the concept and design document to your Innova coordinator and EC members. That's it. So,
And as well as requesting the participants to fill the feedback form for
Yeah.
today's session. Will be very important for us. to
people who
analyze.
have attended all 3 webinars, registered, marked their attendance, attended the Slido quiz, and then given the feedback, will get a certificate of attendance. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? That's about all. I think we will
Yeah, do not
close. We
forget.
have 7 more minutes to make it 12 o'clock, 12 noon. Become
Thank you,
really
Anita.
hungry
Thank you.
and not sleep. Nice names this time. Kanishka Silver. So as usual, we'll get the statistics by Monday from the PMO, which will analyze.
Thank you, participants. Thank you all once again. Reiterating, please fill the feedback form. Once you submit your feedback form, you can leave. Thank you, Vipin sir. Thank you, Vikas sir, for the wonderful session. Thank you, Arundeep sir, for the closing
Thank
remarks.
you.
Recordings
Thank you.
will be made available in the website, right?
We'll share it with the
with the
participants.
members. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, today they will get it.
Thank you, Barney.
Thank you,
Thank
Barney,
you,
for
Barney,
all your
sir.
time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Well done.
Yeah, it would have been good if we did have Vikas's questions on Slido.
Hey, Barney, come online. I want to take a quick picture. I'll paste it with the others. Barney, come online. Video.
We have enough. We have.
Come on, video. I missed you when we took a picture with Vikas. He left. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. I'll do some cut and paste as usual.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ramesh.
Thank you.
So the,
Thank
so
you,
the
Ramesh.
three seminars have concluded. I think
Yes. Pat
on
on our back.
on a
That's all.
high